All right. Hi, everyone. This is Ray and JB for Nexus Fantasy Football. And we're bringing to you a Thursday edition because we had a little bit difficulties with our guest yesterday. So we're just going to recap a few things here where we're at this week and some of the hot topics that have obviously brought some interesting situations to the fantasy world here. So first of all, just kind of recap here over the season where we're at. We've got a couple of teams at 4-1 between my team, No Punt Zone, and Georgia's team, Fresh Prince of Hilaire. And then we've got quite a few teams that are right behind us at that 3-2 spot. A couple of teams still hanging in there between Alex's team, Darren Benchwarmers, and JJ's team, the Johnsons. And then we've got three teams here that are on life support, as I'll call it, because if they don't figure out something soon, the season is going to get really challenging for them. And the only thing that you can do once you get out of the running is be the spoiler to others, and nobody wants to be really in that role. So you got Jumping Jack, Stealing Myself, and JB's team. What the hell?
Yeah,
Dream
what a
killers.
coincidence that we have this. You're on my top screen here, and I'm on the bottom screen. So everybody's just sandwiched right in between us.
Yeah.
So I knew after playing you last week that I had some weaknesses that I need to address. Quarterback and tight end in particular. There were a couple trades I had made yesterday. I saw that Aaron had Aaron Rodgers and Justin Herbert, and I figured, I was listening to podcasts, they said, look at the Cook owner and see if you can trade a Madison. So I traded Madison for Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, it's going to get scrutinized, whatever. Aaron has Josh Allen, so he doesn't really need another quarterback. And it helps him this week if Cook is out or is out for an extended period of time later on in the season. He's got that security there. I also traded for George Kittle with JJ. The trade that process was actually a counter. I had sent him Julio Jones, Michael Gallup, and Matt Ryan for DeAndre Swift and George Kittle, and he countered with Gallup, Matt Ryan, and Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
For Drew Brees and George Kittle, which I gladly accepted, knowing that I do not want to get 1 point from my tight end anymore. No, Noah Fant will come back at some point, and he'll be a nice depth or potential trade later on. But I think with those two, my team definitely looks a lot better than a 1-4.
Yeah. And that's the name of the game, from week to week is, sometimes you got to scrounge up and see what you can get from the waiver wire. But, I mean, the work really has to be put in through the trades that you do. I was listening to Sirius XM Fantasy Football Radio, and they elaborated again. Don't get hooked on a player because of the name or just because you have some attachment to that team or whatever. But, use these guys. Don't look at their names, don't look at their numbers, but look at them as stock options. Are they selling? Can you sell them high, and can you buy them low? Kind of have that type of mentality. And I think your leveraging of the situation with Minnesota and having Dalvin Cook potentially injured gave you an opportunity to make a move at quarterback at the right time. So that's a very good observation for yourself there. I would certainly look to see another trade come out of this as a result of your trade with Aaron and JJ's trade, because JJ now has Le'Veon Bell, and that brings up an interesting situation because there's talks about where Le'Veon Bell ends up, and here you've got Aaron who's looking to trade Justin Herbert away for a running back, wide receiver, tight end, what have you. And I think that would be a good trade there, is to get Le'Veon Bell shipped over to Aaron's team for Justin Herbert because right now I think Justin Herbert's a better quarterback than Matt Ryan, and obviously is producing more points than Matt Ryan in a fantasy football scale. So if you're looking to strengthen your roster a bit more, I think you might get more points out of Hebert than what you will out of Le'Veon Bell, at least for the next few weeks, because whoever he goes to, he's not playing immediately. So it does give some opportunity there. So that's where I'm looking at there.
I
Between
don't know if I would make any more deals. JJ, that is. I mean, Matt Ryan's going to be just a one week deal. He's going to plug Russell Wilson back in there after this bye week. So wouldn't put too much stock into any extra dealing if necessary.
does he have Russell Wilson? Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
there he is. All right. So yeah, I obviously didn't see that there. So yeah, you're right. It doesn't make sense at that point in time. I was looking to see, yeah, if that was just his only starting quarterbacks and overlooked the Russell Wilson factor. So yeah, I would.
Yeah, the reason why I included Matt Ryan in that deal is because both Russell Wilson and Drew Brees were on bye this week. So kind of
Okay.
exploited a situation and was able to get a deal out of it. So
Yep. That's a good point there. Let's talk about, instead of going all the way through all these matchups, I mean, there was a lot of games where, you're 30 points away from each other, in some instances, 20 points or what have you. Closest matchup of the week had to been Skolda Bowl and Minnesota Madmen. And ironically, Minnesota Madmen has the guy that would have won him the game if we had started him, Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert puts up 27 points up this week compared to Josh Allen, who only puts up 18. I know Tennessee's playing with a pretty stout defense, and New Orleans gives up a little bit more points. So I would have looked at the situation of who's playing who. And obviously, if this was New Orleans, Justin Herbert at a full sold out Superdome, that'd be a whole lot different situation. But again, COVID impacting home field advantage definitely doesn't bode well for New Orleans at the moment. So so I think that again, you're looking at the situation: who's playing who's hot, whose defense is stronger or weaker, and leveraging that. It doesn't help that for Brandon's team, his kicker doesn't put up any points. As a matter of fact, loses points for him. But he still manages to pull out a win. Very solid showing of his roster. Missed an opportunity here with Mike Williams, obviously putting up 30 points. But I mean,
he's got better wide receivers there. I mean, he's sitting Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done that personally, but you
Yeah.
got DJ Moore, Allen Robinson, and Will Fuller, who are all getting it done. So
yeah.
Can't argue with how he's doing it.
Yeah. But otherwise, I mean, very good matchup there. Like I said, all the other ones were, about 30-point spreads, roughly.
Or
So,
underperformance.
yeah, a lot of
Regards.
underperforming teams. I was quite surprised even with my own team that I got the win out of that one because it was not to what I was hoping to get. And even this week, I'm projected only, less than 100 points. So I got some looking at my roster to do here. Haven't yet done it yet. Teams that are obviously we had a major injury here this week with Dak Prescott. Very unfortunate with him and his ankle injury. Obviously, as a fan of the sport, hope that he gets well sooner than later and gets his contract. But obviously, I don't remember who had him as their QB, but
Alex.
yeah. That's
So him and Saquon, that's a big hit.
yeah.
But he's sitting with Ben Roethlisberger in there right now, which is a fine option. But he's no Dak.
Yeah, he's certainly no Dak, and Dak was on track to put up some significant numbers this season. Um, so yeah, we got Big Ben, Odell, Terry, and the backup is for Dallas is guy from played in
Andy Dalton.
yeah Andy
So
Dalton.
is he carrying 4 defenses? Because we got 9 bench spots. I only see 6. So he's got 2 open roster spots.
Yep, he's got some opportunity to make some moves, add some players. I mean,
He's got some
overall,
good depth
yeah,
for sure.
he's he's not really in a bad position. I mean, he's got some decent starters. He got some decent depth here. Um, Chenault is actually doing pretty good over in Jacksonville. Frank Gore's that's going to be a questionable situation, especially if Le'Veon Bell um, steps in there. Or no, sorry, holy shit. I'm thinking Le'Veon
Well,
Bell.
no Le'Veon Bell is
Yeah,
obviously going to
no,
bode well for Frank Gore until Adam Gase gets canned.
yeah.
At which point the guy I picked up, hopefully, Michael P. Ryan, gets the run there. So
Yeah. So
Chase
yeah,
Edmonds, good pickup last week. He's showing better than Kenyon Drake. I would honestly start him over Adrian Peterson this week, but that's just me. I am starting Chase Edmonds in a league this week.
yeah.
There's a couple waiver things that I wanted to talk about. We had another high price kicker. Why are we spending $25 on kickers? Please give me good reason why we're spending $25 on kickers. At 1-4, do not spend $25 on a kicker. It is the most highest variance position in this game. You can get -1 from a Steven Hauschka. You can get a 25 from Steven Gostkowski, or somewhere in between. Matt Prater is going to get you 8. He's not in a great offense. I can't remember who Detroit's playing this week, but I don't know if I would have spent $25 on Matt Prater. Also, why are we dropping Cam Akers for a third quarterback? Why are we dropping Cam Akers for David Carr? Do you not listen to Sean McVay after the game when he says, I'm going to run Cam Akers more because he ran well today? Why are we making these type of transactions? So I can have them?
You need them, John. You
Because
need them.
because if I remember right, Minion Squad has $0. So good luck picking them back up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty rough. I would agree. Spending money on kickers, there's no necessary need to. You could easily pick up kickers. I mean, even here with Minnesota Madman, you didn't even have to spend $2 on that. I never spend money on kickers or defenses unless the defense is like the top rated defense and they got dropped because the team needed to move one off for the bye week or something like that. Then there's a chance that you have to spend a little bit of money, but not $25. You're probably looking $5-10 tops in a very unique situation where you're competing and somebody else is probably looking at getting a different defense or something. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised about the Fulgham one. He has one really outstanding game, and You spend $14 on them. That seems a bit rich to me. But I mean, if you've got that conviction to go get a player, I understand it. At least you didn't blow your whole bank account on them.
I thought Claypool was going to go for higher. I think we were the only two that bid on him, at
Yeah,
$10 each.
yeah. I actually I was almost bid 15, but I was like, if somebody really needs them or really wants them, they'll put their money in, and we'll see how it goes. But it is what it is.
Yeah, when I saw I got all of them, I was like, oh, okay.
um, yeah. So, few players that are going to waiver wires that I'm kind of looking at here. If I'm on the bottom of the pool here, you mentioned Cam Akers. Marvin Jones probably wouldn't be a bad pickup. Just look at the matchups there. Trying to see what else here. There's one other one there. Thought there was. No, I guess not. Yeah, so those two players might be worth making a move on if you're in need of a wide receiver or running back.
I'm intrigued to see how much Akers goes for later in the week.
You might have boosted his stock value by saying, I'm gonna go get him.
Well, I mean, he will likely go for at least $10.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bid on him, but if he goes for less than $10, I'm going to be shocked.
Yeah.
You may see my shocked face next week on this show.
I want to see somebody spend their entire bank account on defense.
$75 on a kicker.
Cheddarheads, don't let me down. Spend that $100.
He ain't a Packer player.
All right. So and let's take a look at this here as well. I think there's some, I'm kind of a analytical type of guy. I look at stats quite a bit. One thing that I would say is that is kind of a telltale sign about people who are successful is you look at the top three teams here that are running. All three are relatively close in waiver budget, and all three have made relatively a large number of moves. I think the only person who has made more moves is you, John. Obviously, scrambling to survive week to week, but it's not paying off. So obviously, for those who are at the bottom of the pool here, you guys are, especially JJ and Stephanie, you might not be doing enough. JJ obviously had the big trade that happened earlier, and that might help get him over the hump or what have you. But definitely look to see what opportunities there are, and keep working at it.
Let's see. If I'm him, I'm trying to spend for Cam Akers. Obviously, with the news that came out yesterday about Melvin Gordon and DUI, you're talking about a potential 2 to 3 game suspension at some point. Vic Fangio said he's uncertain of whether or not he'll play this week. So team discipline plus league discipline, you're talking a potential 3 to 4 games missed there. I mean, he doesn't even have him in right now.
Yeah. So
but there is that risk, and you can get rid of Jordan Wilkins to make that deal, or Scotty Miller. But you never know with Tampa Bay's offense and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin dealing with those soft tissue injuries. Jordan Wilkins can definitely go in favor of Cam Akers. A lot more upside there.
Yeah, I would certainly be looking to bolster your running backs there, JJ. I know that you got Le'Veon Bell, but again, that situation, I mean, you're waiting on him to get onto a team, and again, it's going to probably be 2 weeks, 3 weeks before he's actually seen the playing field. You get the situation with Melvin Gordon, Rex Burkhead isn't going to be a starter, um, so you got some really bad situations, as John said, stated earlier too. You could be easily making a move for Cam. So
He's got all 100, so he could easily make it happen.
yeah, um, yeah, definitely got some interesting spots to fill there at running back to strengthen what you have there in that roster. So let's look at the matchups for this week. Got a couple of close ones here. Fresh Prince versus Gus's Glorious Teams. Team looking about a 2.5 point difference there as it sits right now. Obviously, these can shift and change as players make adjustments to their rosters. Cheddarheads and Minnesota Madmen, that looks to be a really good matchup as well. Both teams in that 3-2 spot. So this is where you could really start to spread yourself a little bit from that 3-2 pack that's there and start to elevate yourself into the next level. So yeah, these two games here are going to be very interesting, especially if Gus can move up, or either one of these two can move up. That pretty much puts Fresh Prince, if they drop, still in the upper echelon, but you really, like I said, start to see that pack move itself. And these are the games that matter. These are the games that really matter to get yourself into a good position for playoffs.
I think also that bottom matchup, house divided matchup, right?
Well, yeah. Yep. I mean, and these are going to be tough matchups too. I mean, you got your game against Steele and myself. I mean, you lose another one. I mean, that really puts you in a bad position. You win one, you might be able to find some little momentum to start to build on to get some steam moving forward. But yeah, these games here for these bottom teams are definitely critical as well, just to stay in, because like I said, you're pretty much on life support week to week if you can't string along a couple of wins.
I will be absolutely devastated if I lose this week after making those deals and trying to maneuver this roster the last 2 weeks with trading Michael Thomas and obviously George Kittle and Aaron Rodgers. Still trying to find someone to take Julio from me, but I will continue to send trade offers to people. But
what are you looking for in a trade with Julio? What are you looking for positions?
Well, I would honestly trade him straight up for Robbie Anderson at this point. I think just either a wide receiver or a low end RB2. His value is sunk right now, and I know that. But I also, like I've said week after week, I probably spend more time looking at your roster than you do, so I know what your needs are. I will look at teams that may want the upside of Julio Jones and try and make some kind of package that will work for both teams. I know everybody's always trying to angle for, well, I need to win the trade. No, you don't. You win the trade by both people walk away feeling that their team is better.
Yeah.
It's not, if you're trying to pull one over on someone, it's it just shouldn't make you feel good. I wouldn't feel good trying to pull one over on somebody.
Yeah, no, I would agree. You shouldn't necessarily try to be looking to pull over, but how do you strengthen your roster? What is your need that you're trying to boost? Does it make your team a little bit better? Um, Sometimes you have to sacrifice a better player to do that, especially if you know that you're strong week to week. You can look at your recap. It tells you week to week, where are you strong at when you're winning, or losing or what have you. Is it your receivers that are outperforming? Is your tight ends outperforming or things of that sort? So when you look at that recap, you certainly go, okay, here's what my strengths are. Where are my weaknesses, and where do I get that balance and depth at? I would say on the situation with Julio Jones, it's very unique here as I'm looking over here the game matchups, and he has a outstanding game against Seattle. Dallas, he has 4 targets and 2 receptions against a horrendous defense. So there's something uh, out of the ordinary there. I'm guessing he might have had
He was dealing
injury.
with hamstring.
Yeah, and hamstring injuries last weeks. I mean, that's nothing that can be done with over a matter of days or what have you. So to see that he has some production, a couple of weeks ago was a little bit promising. Then you got the situation where Carolina, he's back out again. If he plays this week against Minnesota, it's a favorable matchup for him. He's playing against a soft defense, soft covered defense here with Minnesota. He's not having to deal with uh, Rhodes anymore. Rhodes used to body up on him because that was what Rhodes did well was people defend the bigger body receivers. But these guys that we have now aren't as experienced to take them on. So is he project? He's listed as questionable. So obviously you're looking at the injury report for Friday. But if he comes up available, I'd probably take a stab at him. You know, because again, the matchup seems to make sense, at least for this week. And then moving on throughout the rest of the week or season, you got Detroit, Carolina, Denver. New Orleans is a suspect team. Vegas is known to put up numbers too. So I think there's probably 2 or 3 games that, yeah, he underperforms his projections. But if he can get over his hamstring injury, I mean, he can be a viable threat still.
Another thing to be mindful of when you're making trades, obviously, between now and week 13, we're navigating bye weeks. That's a very important thing. But when you're trading for a guy, look at his weeks 14 to 16 and see what kind of matchups that he has. If you're anticipating making the playoffs, see if your guy has good matchups for those 3 weeks. Obviously 14, 15, 16 first week, second week in championship game. You got the Chargers. There's going to be shootouts with Tampa Bay and Kansas City in the last 2 weeks of the fantasy season. So Julio Jones plays in the we are vertical division in the NFC. There's a lot of passing going on in the NFC South. So there's a lot of opportunity to be had.
Well, I think my screen just locked up on me. So, um, any other points that you wanted to bring up there, JB?
Nope, we've got 3 games separating all of the teams. There's still some room for error. but not a lot. Teams like mine. But as Drake said it best, started from the bottom. Now we're here. We're gonna see where here is in the future, but hopefully it's the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah. No, it should be a fun season. We've got obviously lot of a few more week, a lot of weeks left in the in the season, but we're approaching that halfway point, and want to express some sort of sense of urgency for those teams that are essentially in the 8 through 12 positions, because you guys need to um, look to see how do you position yourself, how you string along some wins, and how do you strengthen your rosters. And it's not a bad idea to present offers to teams that are on the top, because if you can start plugging away from those rosters and start strengthening your rosters a bit more, then it kind of gets you an opportunity that you might sneak a win against those upper teams that have greater depth.
Yeah, they're trying to consolidate right now for the stretch run.
So, all right. Well, I think that's pretty much going to wrap us up for this week. Best of luck to all teams, and hopefully you guys all survive injuries and COVID. I know today we had a word that Atlanta had one of their personnel test positive for COVID. They shut the facility down. I don't necessarily think that the game's going to be postponed at this time based upon the number of confirmed tests that have tested positive, but something to obviously keep an eye on for if you have players on both the Vikings and Falcons. So, all right. I think we're going to go ahead.
As always, like this video, subscribe to Nexus Sports on YouTube here. Also like them on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, all of the social medias.
Yeah, we're all over the place. Do want to say, shout out that we've got a Nexus volleyball tournament coming up on Halloween. So if you're into volleyball, we've got that going on. We have flag football registrations closing out for 6 versus 6 here in the Twin Cities. That closes out this weekend. And we were starting up a 5 versus 5 contact league. Registration just opened up yesterday for that. Very interesting rules with this league. We've entered some special teams types of plays so that you can have the option to go for 3 points, like a field goal, but you're not kicking a field goal. And you do have the ability to, when you punt, you're not necessarily punting, but you are actually moving the ball down the field, and punts are returnable. So we're going to try some new things out and see how it goes. Hopefully it brings some attention to the league. I think it's going to be very competitive. Adds a little bit more strategy to the game. So, but that's a whole different story. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you watching Nexus Sports Fantasy Football.